my build-in public project where I'm trying to come in daily and give you an update in 2026 of what I'm working on to grow my show. Today is the 29th. This video is once again late. My intention is to come on 9:30 Eastern time. Haven't done it once, I don't think, in all of 2026 yet. January 29th, it's cold here in Miami. Not that anybody cares. So what is this? How did it start? It started because in 2025, I launched this show. I grew it. I got a lot of advice from other people. I developed this idea that I think that when you ask somebody how they did something, you get a different answer if you talk to them when they're done building and after they've achieved things than if you have the opportunity to talk to them when you're in the middle of doing it. Not that anybody's trying to be duplicitous, but our experiences shift as we move through them. And so my idea was that I would come in here and I would talk every day about the 3 things I was working on that day. So that's how it started. The last couple of days, this week, these conversations have included a little bit of national politics because we are having a bit of a situation in the United States where I live. And one of the reasons this is late today is that I did not sleep well last night, and I was working on something this morning, which is an essay where I'm putting together my thoughts. I live in Miami, Florida. One of the confounding questions that people who I know who don't live in Miami ask every once in a while is, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot is going on with the way the Hispanic Latino community is politicized in Miami. And so I did, and it's confused me too over the years. So I am without a doubt not at all a person who is the most qualified to talk about that, but I have lived here for 30 years and I have developed my own theories about some of it, and I've accumulated a lot of historical information that I would maybe not have if I had never moved here. So there's that, and I don't know how much of that I'll ever share. I may have written it as a form of getting it off my chest, but it's possible I'll go in tomorrow and after I let it sit for a day and edit it again and see if it still feels like something that might be better to share. I have to fix, this morning I deleted, I have a standing meeting once a week, which is meant to be a group session for women, not necessarily cis women, but women, female creators who are out there in the world making YouTube videos and podcasts who want to get together and know each other and talk to each other and that kind of stuff. And I set it up as a recurring meeting and I put it on my calendar with registration. It doesn't work right, so I just deleted it. So I need to reset that up. I mentioned yesterday I'm working on my tech stack. I have a new calendar I'm trying out, so I'll go ahead and try that. And with that recurring meeting, just because I can, and see if it works. And then I have a crap ton of editing to do still. And so those are the 3 things that are on my to-do list. There's a lot of other things that are on my to-do list, to be fair. And I didn't make any, the one about writing the essay is not directly connected to me growing anything related to my business, but the truth is that right now, and a lot of people are saying this, it's hard for me necessarily to directly focus on things like editing my podcast and promoting my podcast when I am very concerned about these things that are happening. The other thing, so thing number 4 I will go ahead and throw out there is there's an episode of the podcast that does drop today. It's a very cool story, unlike anything I've ever told before. I got to have a conversation that I've never had, which was really interesting. And you can actually hear me draw that conclusion in the beginning of the interview because I ask a question of my guest whose name is Holly Bott, and she tells the story, which I knew, right? So when she pitched her story, she was like, I want to tell the story of how me being in prison impacted my life. And I absolutely drew an incorrect conclusion reading that. I made the guess. I thought she was going to come with a story of white-collar crime, but she did not. Turns out that she is a felon who served time for sexual offense. And so that was unexpected for me, but I had the conversation, and you hear me talk about that. If you listen to that show or you watch it on YouTube, you'll also hear that I give like a long and rambling introduction to that show where I try and explain why I would publish something like that if I don't, based on my own personal views and whatnot, why I publish content and interviews from people who have such wildly different experiences and viewpoints than me. And what's super hilarious about that today is there's also an introduction, a 2-minute introduction on all of my audio episodes this week, which is drawing attention to the national political situation and my personal viewpoints on it in the United States, which some people may object to also, and that's okay. You get to make your own decisions, as do I. And that's what makes the world go round. So when I thought about that this morning, I was like, holy crap, this is an episode of the show that has like a gigantic series of unrelated information before the interview even gets started, which is not probably the way to level up my show to reach a broader audience, which is in fact the ultimate goal. And that's really interesting through the context of like sort of one of the things I do every single day and specifically every single month is like analyze what I'm doing and is it working and how do I get better. I had a group session where I was a focus, like a mastermindy session with some people who I really respect. One of the themes that came out of that was really that one of the very important things about shows that succeed is that they need to be good. And so putting in the work to make sure I'm delivering the highest quality that I can is significant to me in growth and significant to the audience in growth and all of those things. And then to realize that I have this giant intro that probably doesn't serve me, in terms of growth, or maybe it does. Maybe it does. It does tickle me. I know I've definitely interviewed out of the 178 episodes of the last year, it does tickle me because I know I've interviewed several people who have very conservative platforms and beliefs and they're on my show. And it does tickle me a little bit that this week, before you hear their opinion, you hear my very progressive personal views at the start of the show. So that does make me smile. Anyway, that's the way the world rolls. That's my update for today. We got more than 3 things, but those are my live-ish thoughts. Go in peace. I'll see you tomorrow.